the narcissist using bait to lure a lot of their victims back in once you've decided to exit or make an exit from dealing with them at least. A lot of this kind of happens. A lot of this. Good afternoon. How you guys doing? Hey, Sunshine. See you. Miss Red, Grace. How y'all doing? Um, Des Jordan. All of y'all coming in so fast. But I wanted to talk about specifically how narcissists use this bait to get you back in. Okay, a lot of times, especially here's the thing that I try to warn people about once they have left their narcissist alone. It's very important. Okay, that you do not go seeking out, especially if you first, like a lot of you, when you first, get rid of them, don't go looking for stuff that they have or that they're putting out. All right, this is only gonna. This is the part of the thing that the narcissist expects their victims to do. Okay, they expect when you when you first leave them and you're not with them anymore, and they're really counting on the fact that you're so wounded, you're still open at that point, that they can always use little things to make you jealous. They can bait you in by showing you them having a good time, or they're showing you that they're doing something that's fun without you. And this is all exaggerated, guys. A lot of times when you see this and you're like, well, damn, they're really turning it up. They're really having a good time, and how could they be having so much fun? And we just broke up, and you were so in love with them or whatnot, right? But now they're having all this time, all this fun, and you're sitting there, worried about them. You're looking at the stuff that they're posting, especially if you're on Facebook or something like that. Major mistake, okay? Major mistake. And this is what will trap. This will bait you in. A lot of you guys will begin to start observing this and realizing and looking at this false fun. This is all staged fun, okay? You have to understand, this is all staged fun. They're not really having fun. They're just using these props, these situations, even, and when I say a prop, they can use another individual for the sake of just displaying to you that they're enjoying their time with even the opposite sex or whatnot. So they can have someone that they specifically just got just as a prop to get to you. Okay, they have no interest in this person, but they're using this guy as a prop, or they're using this woman as a prop, so that you become jealous, so that you start wanting to re-engage them. Okay, and this is something that this is something that a lot of you, if you're paying attention to them, if you're still a part of their audience, if you're still in line with them where they can observe you, or you're observing them, trust me, they're gonna take full advantage of it. Okay, and this is not good for you psychologically. This is not good for you, because when you see this and you're still wounded, and I don't mean like you're wounded, like you're just all torn apart. Some of you are, but you might even be pissed off. You might be mad. This will cause a reaction towards you to where you want to re-engage them. Now, they don't care if it's negative or if it's positive, but the re-engagement is all about causing or igniting some sort of reaction out of you. Because now you see them, and now you may say something or you may not say something, depending on how hurt you are. Or you might go ahead and think about, wow, they're having fun now, and now your own ego starts to turn against you. And it makes you want to re-engage them, and now you might call them, you might text them, you might make a negative comment towards them. But hey, guess what this tells the narcissist? This tells them, like, I'm getting to you. You're not over me, and I get to punish you now. Because that's all it's really about, guys. When a narcissist discards you, or you discard them, it's about payback. So they have to punish you in some way. So these things, when you see this and you're watching them walking or putting pictures up with them and another person that they're supposedly in a relationship with, you have to realize that these are props. This is nothing but a script that they're putting forth, and you're just watching the movie play out in front of you. Okay, this isn't real. But you will react because you have a certain connection to them. You'll react as though, wow, they're having fun. Oh my God, I can't believe this. And now you're mad, you're pissed off, and you want to get back at them. But more so, here's another thing that narcissists know, guys. They know about the thought fuel that they get from you, okay? They don't have to be around you. They don't have to see you. Narcissists don't physically have to see you to know how you're reacting, okay? They don't have to see you. They know that what they do will cause a certain reaction, okay? So even though you don't respond to them, they know in the condition that they've left you in, anything that they put out is going to have a certain reaction on you. And guess what? They can still laugh knowing that even though you don't respond to them, they're laughing and knowing that I know that's getting to them. I know that's affecting them. So not only is no contact good, guys, but no visuals either. We're going to go ahead and throw that one out there too. No visuals, no contacts. We don't even want to look at them. And that's just the way it is. You don't go looking for them. Don't go looking at any words or anything like that. We don't want visuals or contacts from now on. And that's the way it has to be, because honestly, guys, even the visuals will bring back memories. It'll bring back certain things about your experience with them. So the thing you have to understand is that when you see them, it's going to trigger something in you. So I like to say that's the whole bait thing, especially because they know when you're looking. Even though you guys may think, oh, they don't know I'm checking in on. Every narcissist knows, especially if you've been discarded, that you're still checking in on them. Okay? And so, I think it's, I don't know how to pronounce it, but Quandy Young, yeah, don't go looking no more. Don't go looking on those pages no more. Serious. I mean, all right, don't go looking, because they know that you're looking, and guess what? As long as they know they have an audience, they're gonna antagonize you. They're gonna go ahead and they're gonna make it worse. They'll deliberately put stuff up because they know you're watching. So essentially, even though you've physically removed yourself from the narcissist, you haven't mentally removed yourself. That's the most important factor. It's not just about going no contact. You have to mentally release too. And mentally releasing is by all the things that you would want to do, because you're still trying to think about this good time that you had with these individuals. But guess what? Everything that you've met from the whole individual was basically a script that they were following. And they do this so well, guys, because building rapport is very powerful, especially if it's false. If someone starts acting like they like everything you like, they're into everything that you're into, you know what? That's a very powerful, it's kind of like a very powerful mental sedative that gets you to engage and want to almost feel like, wow, you're just like me. You're just like who I am. So you want to have that person around. You want to feel as though this person is your soulmate, right? But this person is only doing what they know will make you engage them and like them instantly. Okay, that's how you get bought. That's how you buy into them, at least. And then once you think that you've met someone who has so much in common with you, you open up to them. You think you've met your soulmate. You think you've met the one. And now they get to switch up on you. They're only going to use you for what they need something from you for, because that's the whole objective with narcissists, guys. It's about getting something out of you. It's about using you for whatever they can get from you. But the most important thing you have to understand, especially if you've already went through this, you know what it's about. You know what it's like. A lot of you who's struggling with wanting to know if you made the right decision and going back, you gotta pause, okay? You gotta pull your mental out of them, and even mental visuals. I mean visuals in general, not just actual physical visuals, but mental visuals too. Stop thinking over the situations that you've had with them before, and that the good times and, you know, the stuff that you had that may have been fun that you've experienced with them. That's going to suck you back in. You got to stop thinking, even the hurt that they did to you, the little things that they did, stop thinking about that. All right. Treat it like a game. We took a L. We took a loss in that game. We move on. We go to the next game. Okay? We can't stay stuck on the same game that we lost. Because that's what the narcissist depends on. They depend on you not being able to recuperate, to recover. And once you're stuck in that position, they're always back at you. And so, a lot of, yeah, we call it game playing. You know, so hold on, let me read this really quick. Someone says, Desiree Romero, he stalks your media even after no contact. Well, yeah, the narcissist wants to keep a track on you too. Okay, you have to understand, the narcissist wants to see what you're doing, what your progression is, because they have re-entry points that they know they want to come back in if they see a certain thing from you. They'll set up a re-entry point to where, okay, it looks like she's starting to do something positive now, or she's starting to move on, she's healing, she's getting better. Let me come back into her life now. Okay? So they want to keep a full range of what's going on with you. And it's best if you can to block them. If you can, because they're always going to be checking in on you. They're always looking for, they're opportunists. They're opportunists, and if they're stalking your social media page, they want to keep a track of your progression. They want to see, are you healing? Are you still hurt? Where are you? And you know where you are emotionally, because that's the whole the whole thing that at least the narcissist tries to attack is predominantly based on where your emotional temperament is lying at that time. So you have to be wary of that, guys. They're gonna check you out. They're gonna look at you, but it's up to us. Somebody said my narcissist went back to the baby mom and got her pregnant. You know what, guys? A lot of times when people accept the narcissist back, and those are victims who haven't found healing. A lot of you guys that watch his videos, believe it or not, even though you might not believe in yourself now, it'll be a lot harder for the narcissist to come back and do the same thing that he did to you before. Okay? The narcissist that goes on and they get back with these other individuals, a lot of these peoples haven't tried to even figure out what happened to them. They're still lost in Never Never Land, and the narcissist can always re-enter back into their life in and out. That goes for men or women. You know, you have to realize when people do accept these individuals back, they never found any type of educational information or anything to help excel their progression and recovery. So these individuals will become victims again. You know, so when you see that happen, don't look at it like, wow, damn, something's so messed up with me. No, that's something so messed up with the individual who chose to take them back. Give yourself credit for being strong enough to let them go and not accept them back again. You guys gotta give yourself a little bit more credit. And congratulations on everybody who's been no contact for up to a year at least, even 6 months. Because that's hard. It's hard, and it's something that a lot of people have struggled with. So congratulations. I definitely commend y'all. I mean, it's a lot of you are growing. Putting the information that I put out, I mean, it's helping a lot, and I do it because a lot of people need to be aware of this. It's a devastating thing. I was just talking to a doctor he's actually a neuroscientist, and he basically said that he believes that narcissistic injury is the worst because of the condition that it leaves their victims in once they're gone. And my story, have I ever shared it? I do have it in a video. The documentary is more or less going to share my video. Also, guys, I shot a video, and I have a little cameo in the movie that's coming out, a young lady and her story, where I play a doctor, at least Dr. Jones, in the movie. So the trailer, hopefully they're going to be done editing the mini. It's like an 8-second, not an 8-second, but a small, like a 30-second trailer to her movie. So I play a doctor in there, and I'm consulting with her in the scene. But that should be pretty good. I have some footage on my Instagram. The Instagram is, you can go and look at, it's ASSC Direct, at ASSC Direct. You can go check that out. But have a little bit of clips, you know. But other than that, guys, definitely just keep yourselves mindful not to go for that bait. And again, we want to be no visual and no contact. Because I know I heard a lot of you guys have still go and take that peek, especially if you're not fully over. If you can't see them with someone else and it not bother you, and I mean mentally see them with someone else in your mind's eye and it not bother you, you know you're not ready to visually see them again. Okay? So if you can see them with someone else and it doesn't bother you emotionally, you know you're healed. Okay? That's when you know you're healed and they can't get back to you. And congrats for the 4 weeks of no contact. 4 weeks is even good. You know, it's a battle, guys. You know, healing is not easy. Healing does take work, and it takes a lot of effort from yourselves as well. You know, so just be mindful of your progression and know that you know, nobody's losers. You're not, you know, just because you got taken for a wild spin, it doesn't make you weak. You know, we just took an L. You know, we took an L, but we recover. You know, sometimes it's not fair. You know, I see sometimes it's not fair. Dreaming. Somebody said, is it normal to dream from them? You know what? I think a lot of that is psychological, and you know, it's embedded in the mind, and sometimes you're gonna have dreams. You know, don't read too much into it though. Don't read too much into the dream. You know, it could be just something that, you know, whenever you feel like you could have done something wrong and there's some unfinished business that you may perceive that you didn't complete, you can sometimes dream about that. You know, don't read too much into it meaning that there's something else that you need to do or something else that can be done. All right. And that's what, and that's just my opinion on that. Let me see. Let me try and answer. Can you mention your opinion on narcissistic behavior? Narcissistic behavior in regards to criminal. Good question, Sunshine. In regards to criminal stuff, here's the thing with this, guys. Narcissists are, a lot of the stuff that they do when it comes to criminal behavior, they tend to know how to ride just along. It's a very fine line, but they know how to get just up to the point where they know that they can't be prosecuted in some sorts. They're not dumb in any way, guys. Okay, they know what they're doing, and so they'll do enough just to, you know, just to push it to the limit, but they're not going to engage in anything where they're going to get themselves in trouble typically, although there has been cases of narcissists actually killing. So it can happen. So just keep in mind that, you know, narcissists do have the potentiality to engage in greater capacities of criminal behavior, but typically they stay in a certain range of just psychological and emotional abuse. So, Larice from Colorado, how you doing? Or Larac, I don't know if I pronounced your name correctly, but how you doing? So I'm just reading some of these guys, but I don't. I think in a lot of times, why doesn't a new supply believe you? Why doesn't the new supply believe you? You mean as the narcissist, or I'm not exactly sure about that question. Um, Profile. You know what? With the narcissist, a lot of them do have other, and I was talking about to the doctor about this. A lot of them do display traits of sociopath and psychopathic traits too. A lot of narcissists have other traits of the cluster B disorders as well. You know, so some can be narcissistic and psychopathic at the same time. So, you know, these things, it's not, in most cases they do, it's not just a singular thing. Narcissists have, you know, other disorders that are attached to them as well. That's why these guys are so, they're, and according to him, he's the doctor, he said he believes that they're the worst out of all of them. It's so unpredictable and so impulsive that you don't know what's coming from one minute to the next from them. So, I mean, it's something to think about, something to think about. So, let's see. Yes, let's progress. You know what? In a lot of cases, there was a documentary. I've seen it somewhere. It was I think it was a 17-year-old kid. I think it was out of the UK. He murdered his parents, both of them. And then after that he went on a tennis. He had a tennis tournament he was doing with his school or something like that. But he was he was actually diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder, and he did kill. He did murder. So I mean, they are capable of killing people. Certain things can trigger them, you know, and they are capable of doing some other types of harm to people. So just be mindful of that, guys. I mean, you can't underestimate these individuals at all. So I just wanted to also put that out there too. I used to see cars in an accident panic. I used to see cars like that. You know, panic attacks that you guys may have after dealing with a narcissist. Some of you will develop a little bit of complex post-traumatic disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder at least. Some of you will develop that, and it can. I won't say you can't fully heal, but it'll be an uphill battle, because even after the narcissist is gone, a lot of you will experience flashbacks of situations with other individuals that, you know, had nothing to do with what was going on at the time, but you'll you know you'll go through that, and you'll react, and it's not like you're reacting off of this this individual that you're with now, but because you've went through a situation with them, it just shows you're not healed. Okay, and when you're not healed and you've went through something with an individual who does play, because it's the game plan that really gets to you, because you don't know, your reality is so altered, you don't know if someone's being serious, if they're not being serious. So now you become hyper vigilant. And I think this is one of the biggest things that can be transferred from the experience when dealing with a narcissist, is that now you're hyper vigilant. Now you're hypersensitive in a lot of ways, and now you're reacting to things that you probably shouldn't be reacting to, but you find yourself reacting almost instinctually. And it's all about protecting yourself. So it's basically your own body trying to your mental reaction of protecting yourself, at least. So a lot of people do develop that after a while from dealing or coming out of an abusive relationship. Trying to get through these guys. If anyone wants, someone mentioned about consultation, you can go to my website. It's the www.asscdirect.com, and there's information on there about how to set up a consultation with me on there. You can email me at asscdirect@gmail.com. But They seem they present all as drugs, sex addicts. You know what? I have found that common, Sandy, that a lot of narcissists are major sex addicts. A lot of them are very engaged in like a lot of porn, stuff like that, excessively. Like they'll be in a relationship with you, and you'll see them still very into other sexual deviant type things. And so I don't know why that is, but a lot of them have an over-sexed sex drive. You know, and that's I think that's where a lot of the cheating comes from. You know, so much of them, it's like they can never get enough, and they're always thinking about it, or they're always trying to relate something back to something sexual, and it's, you know, so I think some of them do develop, and especially with them, it's worse because, you know, they're so impulsive and they don't have any type of you know, discipline in that area, and having that, being impulsive, and then having the immaturity and the lack of judgment, at least a lot of these individuals don't even use protection. They're very reckless with their sexuality as well. And that's another thing you got to watch out for, guys. If you're dealing with one, don't put it past them that they're having unprotected sex and being reckless with their sexual activities with someone else. So I know we kind of got off topic, guys, but that's just something to think about when you're dealing with them. You know, you can't, you know, think that if you do have a narcissist, or some of you are still engaged with them, please do protect yourself. You know, because I can guarantee you, a lot of their activities will come back to haunt you in some kind of way, and that's just the truth, you know. I'm gonna wrap this video up, guys. Just wanted to kind of put that out. Hey, again, thank you all for the support. I applaud, and I'm proud of all of you, at least, who have put in the effort to help yourselves. I mean, good job. Give yourselves a hand. Triangulation, and how the narcissist uses this. Good morning, everyone. Triangulation. I'm sure a lot of you have heard the term when someone's playing someone against each other. You know, the narcissist, or someone playing two people against each other, right? You might have heard that before. Triangulation is kind of like that same type of tactic, that same type of dynamic, at least, where the narcissist usually gets someone else involved that you may not be able to have direct contact with, but they use them as a form of false competition. Sometimes they use them as a part of the manipulation and the illusion to create in you a sense that there's someone else, or there's something else that you have to worry about or compete against, or they can use it in many different ways. Triangulation is a it's a pretty mainstay fixture in their art of manipulation. I'll put it that way. And from what I've seen, I've seen it used to belittle one of the targets. They use it to do that. They use it to create a sense of insecurity in another target, you know, by using the third party, which you don't have access or information to. That's why they always keep the individuals that they're using in triangulation separate from each other, so that you can't see it. And then they'll use something from one and bring it to the other, or they'll use something from the other and bring it to the other party as well. And this works well because the one behind the scenes doing all of the manipulation and the deception is the narcissist, right? And so it works well, and especially if they can keep both parties away from each other. The job of the illusion and the manipulation basically the individuals will tend to do the work in their own mind and give the situations their own false meanings based off what the narcissist is giving them, instead of having the true actual situation being portrayed or put out about what's really going on. And this is why the narcissist loves that tactic so much. It works well. It also, they use it for false competition, right? You may think that there's something else that they can kind of like, I've seen it used to where they'll make it seem like there's someone else that's doing better for them, or there's someone else that's doing better than you, and they try to make you step up to a level of the other individual, the third party, right? And in all actuality, the third party's not doing shit, right? This is just something that the narcissist is creating to make you think that there's someone more effective than you, and you go for it, right? You go for that that illusion, and they're using this individual, even though the individual could actually be around. The acts and the actions that the narcissist is portraying to get you to compete, this false competition, is what gets the person to start thinking that, wow, well, maybe, if it's like that, maybe I'll try to step my game up, right? They do this oftentimes. They always use the false competition of the triangulation part tremendously. They use this quite frequently, right? And that makes you feel like, well, there's something to compete against. In all reality, what they're telling you about the other individual that you never get to meet in most cases is a bunch of bullshit. Just bottom line. And if you go for it, you're falling right into the manipulation of the whole triangulation tactic that the narcissist is so infamously known for, at least through these tactics. So I just had someone had asked about it. Someone asked about if the other woman is on it. It's just, yeah, I mean, yeah, it is. Someone just had that little question. It basically, what it does, guys, is it gets you to buy into, you're listening to the words of what the narcissist is saying, and you're not actually able to see into the situation. Or the narcissist is going back and forth from one target to the next target, and they're playing both of them against each other, even saying negative things from one and bringing it back to the other, which may have not even taken place or went on. But it works effectively by keeping distance. They keep the distance and they keep the separation within the targets, but more importantly, they keep the targets against each other. And even more so, they keep both of the targets trying to serve the narcissist. This is pretty much how they like to operate and cause this particular dynamic to be so effective for them. And so, in my experience, I see them use this in many ways is to basically disorient the subject. So once you become disoriented and you start focusing on the other target that the narcissist is trying to make you feel that they're more significant to you, that's when you start buying into the whole manipulation tactic, and you start to destabilize yourself, your mental well-being. You start worrying and thinking on what's going on. And so it's just something that you have to ignore, guys. When you see or hear something like that, false competition is being used quite frequently in that whole triangulation tactic, at least. So someone had asked about it. I thought I'd throw it up there, even though there's plenty of references to the triangulation, at least, that's out there. But Yeah, it is an exhausting thing. But you know, this is how these guys. This is how they survive. Narcissists survive this way. This is what they do to survive. This is how they, you know, they get along in life. They need this. They need to be able to do this and operate in this capacity so that they can function. You know, they have to function this way. This is pretty important to them, and you have to realize they day in day out they're coming with tactics on how to manipulate and get more supply and how to keep more supply. So um yeah, it's definitely something. What if the other woman is on the train? She sucks. The other one would be more or less a flying monkey. You know, that's what I would look at the other woman that's in on that. She would be more or less like a flying monkey. She's buying into it. She's completely bought into the story, the lie of the triangulation, and now she's beginning to kind of like, we can say what they call it, the Stockholm syndrome. She's starting to identify with her abuser and everything that the abuser is brainwashing her on, and so now she's beginning to actually attack you as well, from what the narcissist has put out. So now you're being attacked by this individual who obviously does not know that they're being used and played into the situation as well. It's really pretty sad, but it's something that gets done all the time. They do this all the time. You can catch them. And you know what, guys? The biggest thing about it, why it works, is because your belief and wanting to believe that this individual, the narcissist, isn't someone that is bad as they are and messed up in character. You're not thinking that you're dealing with someone that messed up, that you pretty much take them in and go in with, you know, hook, line, and sinker. You think that this person is on your side. So yeah, a lot of you are gonna want to believe what you're hearing because you don't know anything about them. See, most of this stuff, guys, happens in the beginning. It happens before you have figured them out, before you've had enough evidence to figure out who you're dealing with, right? This is why it's so effective. So the narcissist does a lot of their grooming and psychological programming of the target in the very beginning, within the first 3 to 6 months. You know, this is how they lock you in with the false character. The false character is very strong during that period of time. It's only after that most of them, the mask starts coming off. You see bits and glimpses of things that's, hypocritical of what that person is putting out and displaying about who they are. And it's only then when you're still going to have some cognitive dissonance where you're not going to really believe what you're dealing with is really what you're dealing with. So you'll write it off, and you'll just kind of like, you know, you'll stick in there and you'll automatically write it off. And this is because the first 3 to 6 months of the programming of the perception management that they worked on you was so effective that it left a stronger impression on you to always default back to the individual that you saw in the beginning of the relationship. Okay? And so that's why a lot of you write it off, because that impression from the very first meeting of them, within that 3 to 6 months, it was this honeymoon stage. Everything was nice. They were doing the most for you, and you always will default and go back to that period. Even when you start seeing the shift of that individual and the mask coming off, more and more and more episodes of them, you know, switching and turning into that individual that you don't recognize, right? You'll write it off. And so this is how they keep a lot of you in there, because you keep wanting to say, this isn't who, they're just going through something. This isn't the person that I met. Okay. And so when they begin to use these, when they begin to use these tactics of like triangulation and so forth, you're not thinking that a person like this, that you like, wait a minute, because now you have feelings, and a lot of you are starting to fall in love with them. So you're not thinking that a person like this is going to be someone who's going to end up hurting you, or who is deliberately out to hurt you. You're not thinking that's going to be the person that's doing this. So it's very easy to fall into these tactics based off the first initial triangulation. Not triangulation, but impression management and also programming that these individuals use to brainwash you about their real character and what they're about and their true intentions for you. See, they come off as though they want to, have something significant and meaningful in the beginning. And in all actuality, they are only out to use you. So when you fall into that, after 6 months or so, after a year, and some of you even have kids with them, it's like you're deep in the quicksand now. And sometimes, when you get in quicksand, the more you try to wiggle out, the deeper you sink. And so this is where a lot of you find yourselves, once you realize and you saw the mask come off and you start to wiggle out now you start, it becomes harder. Unless you make a definitive choice to break free and say, no, this is what I'm seeing. This isn't, someone going through things. This person is really this person now. This is who they are. I was duped in the beginning. And you have to accept that. A lot of you guys have to be real and honest with yourselves and realize that, yes, you were duped. Yes, you were fooled. Okay? You got to take it. You got to take it on the chin. Because that's exactly what happened. And so, yeah, but I just want to throw that in there, guys, about the triangulation, because it is something that they use quite often to make you jealous, even to make you put out more effort to a false character sometimes that doesn't exist, or a situation that is not even what they're portraying it to be, just to get under your skin. They do this frequently. So don't buy into it. Every narcissist uses triangulation. It's a mainstay and a fixture in their art of manipulation. So be mindful of it. If you hear someone trying to tell you about how something was with the other person, and it could be positive, a positive or a negative. Like in a negative situation, it could be something like, well, this person didn't do anything for me, and they made me feel like crap, and I did all this other stuff, and now you want to try to do more to offset that. Or it could be this person did so much. They could even say the opposite, where they could say they did so much, and now it's putting you in a position of where you are in that false competition again to this third party that they're mentioning, right? And so, yeah, don't fall for that that tactic, guys. I mean, it's something that they use in the grooming process, and then afterwards. I mean, because so much depends on getting you to love them and believe in them. I mean, that's how much. I mean, they'll do the most to get you to fall in love with them, because the most of the tactics that they use will not work unless you are deeply emotionally invested into them. That's the only way it works, because otherwise you'll pull out and you'll keep it moving. So, yeah, dealing with the narcissist and their reckless state. Okay, really important. A lot of you wonder, well, how come the narcissist, some of you experience where the narcissist goes and marries someone right after you, or the narcissist gets pregnant by someone right after you, and you wonder how does this happen, right? How does the narcissist find themselves in that type of predicament? Well, in the reckless state, the narcissist is capable of anything. And I know I said I was going to be back after Christmas holidays, but I think you guys need to hear this. The narcissist is capable of anything in their reckless state. When a narcissist suffers a deep wound, injury, they get off their rockers. They really go off the deep end. And this is when they don't care. They're very, again, they're very reckless. They're very careless. Their judgment is completely shot in this state. When you are dealing with them in this particular state, or if you've left them, don't be surprised from what you may find or what you may find out about them, okay? Because this state, guys, is a state where the narcissist is not thinking in any type of way of constructively, all right? The narcissist is on a destructive path, in a destructive mode, okay? The narcissists, when they become reckless, are capable of anything. So it shouldn't shock you if they go and marry someone else, or they have a kid, okay, with someone else in that state, right? I know narcissist situation, same situation. Have a kid with someone completely wasn't planned, you know, and when they do, you know, it's too late. So they got to fall through with it. And so most of you, you'll wonder why, like, how could this happen? How did that go in that way? Well, in that state, the narcissist is not thinking. These individuals are very irresponsible. And when they are engaging in doing anything in that state of being off balance mentally and emotionally, in distress, they're capable of goodness knows. Some of you, you find out, if you're ladies, you find out that, wow, he just married this other woman and he didn't marry me and all the. Well, if you catch them in that condition, in that state, whoever catches them, you know, it can happen. But take note on this. That doesn't mean that it's going to work out or that it's going to be anything productive. No, they're just in a state of, they're in a state of mania. Okay? These individuals, man, they can do some crazy, outlandish things when they get to that point. Stuff that you wouldn't even fathom them doing or going through. And, you know, they just carry on. You know, they don't have a choice but to carry on. But, you know, going deeper into it, the narcissists really start to detach their feelings, emotions, everything from reality when they go into that state. So they're not thinking about safety. They're not thinking about consequences. They're not thinking about repercussions, right? In that state, they are, in my opinion, they are, you know, on the verge of being fully psychotic, right? You're not dealing with an individual who is logical in any type of way. So don't, and again, especially with the client I had, I really want to stress this, especially if you're watching. Don't be surprised by anything that you see from the narcissist once you've left them, or if you're with them when they're in a state of recklessness. You can expect, you know, a little bit of anything. All right, there's really no logical judgment from them. Everything is clouded. Everything becomes like a distorted type of fantasy. It's like they're in this altered world. And in this altered world, they almost feel, they don't feel anything. They're just going along with whatever goes on. So a lot of you wonder, well, how could they go and marry or do this and do that? Well, they were kind of like observing themselves through themselves. I know that might sound kind of off, but that's what's happening. So in that state, the whole experience, they're detached from. So whatever's happening to them, they're not even perceiving it to be happening to themselves when they're in that state. This is very serious, guys. So I just wanted to put that out really quick. Again, guys, have a happy holidays. Something to think about, though, right? Something to really think about. Expect the unexpected from a narcissist, okay? Or a borderline, anything like that. Expect the unexpected, especially when they go into that state where they feel like they're slipping or falling into, outside of themselves. Just wanted to throw that in there. Guys, have a happy holidays. If you want, and any of you want a consultation, anything like that, you can email me at asscdirect@gmail. All consultations, of course, they get first priority, guys. So if you have questions or want to tackle an issue on a one-on-one, you can email me. If you haven't yet got the documentary, which goes into a lot of detail on how these individuals think, act, the process, some tactics as well in there, just a greater understanding. Go get the documentary. I'll post the link in this video. But yeah, guys, be mindful of that. Expect the unexpected from a narcissist. Anyway, guys, thanks for your support. Thanks all of you who have supported. Till next time, enjoy yourselves, guys. I just had to put that out there. It was heavy on my mind, and had some stuff that I think you needed to hear too as well. So enjoy yourselves, guys. Happy holidays. We'll talk soon. We're talking about the very low functioning narcissist, the drifter type narcissist, okay? Number one, you'll be able to identify these individuals because they don't have any sense of stability. Number one, they're not stable. They haven't settled down anywhere. They're constantly on the go. They're constantly on the move. They have no real roots planted anywhere. You'll find them frequently moving from place to place, from location to location. And this is because a lot of the things that they do end up being short-term gains that they think, with the magical thinking that they have, they think that they can somehow magically pull these type of schemes off and sustain, which only leaves them at square one over and over again. But typically, the things you'll notice, guys, is that they're always trying to get a quick fix or trying to place themselves in a position with someone who has something going or appears to have something going for themselves. Okay, they'll try to make themselves of help or of service to these people with the ulterior motive of a get-rich-quick scheme, or where they can get in and reap the benefits. So you'll always see these individuals offering help, and they'll go out their way. They'll go out their way to look like they're on your side and that they're being of support, so that you can embrace them and pull them into your world. Okay, this is very typical of the low-lying narcissist, the very low-functioning narcissists. They're vagabonds. They travel, they drift from place to place. They'll be in one city for a while. Things have failed there. Typically going back, the cases I've heard of and what I've known myself is they'll go back to their home front. Usually that's to the where they're accepted by someone, you know, more of on an unconditional type of basis where they're always accepted. That's their home base. They'll go there. Things that get bad won't last too long there. Then they're out seeking for supply again. Typically, it's through social media or through someone. They're always trying to network. They're very adamant about networking with as many people as possible, looking for someone who they can latch on to. This is where you find that altruism, that the do-gooder, the one who wants to extend the helping hand. Okay, you'll find this in them quite frequently. And no matter where you are, guys, they will try to find a way to see what you're doing, what you're into, start looking up things to move in that area of the vicinity to get around you so that they can position themselves within your vicinity, your life, to be in close proximity to the things that you have that they will soon to be trying to manipulate you out of or to swindle you out of. Okay? Be leery of helping services from people that just come out and they're all in your corner and they're gun ho and they're just so into what you're doing. Be leery of those type of people. Narcissists are opportunists. They're always looking for an opportunity. They're always seeking people who have an opportunity or doing something to grow with an opportunity of some sort. This is their MO. So this is what makes them such free agents in the world and vagabonds, you know, drifters going from place to place, to and fro, never settling down and never taking root anywhere. They'll stay as long as it's something that they can benefit from. They'll stay there as long as they possibly can. But there's no loyalty to anything. They don't have loyalty to anything. If they're in one location, you'll find them all about that location or all about that city or all about that place. When that goes wrong, as well with even with people, now they don't have any. It's done in a way with that. Now they're on to a next city, and then they're all about that city or they're all about that place. They're so into that place and everything that place and city has to offer. And that's not to say that normal people don't do that either. But the difference is the narcissist tries to hide their past and leave their past behind as though there's nothing else that went with it. And they try to remake themselves. See, this is a big part of their psychological medication, that how they in turn use it for is to cover that up by relocating, remaking themselves. No one knows them. They can put on a whole nother act. They can, you know, they get into a new place, new city. It's, you know, all them. It's all, you know, a new them at least, and no one knows them. And so here comes the new character. Here comes the new personality. Here comes the new them, which is still the same, you know, BS full of it person, you know. And this is pretty much the pattern of the very low functioning narcissists. They never set roots. These are the type that will stoop to go to any length to get into an opportunity to be taken care of. The low functioning narcissist essentially wants someone to take care of them. Okay, they'll get with someone and play the role and do just enough to get by, but the main thing that a narcissist cannot sustain, and that is a healthy, functionable relationship. They can't sustain that. It will go wrong all the time. No matter who it is, it will go wrong. They can't sustain those things. There will always be issues. There will always be problems. Thus, leaving the narcissist to pick up, relocate again. Usually they go back to home base, regroup, lick their wounds, and then they're out looking for, another opportunity somewhere else, someone else to prey on, someone else to leech off, someone else to get in good with, so that they can possibly position themselves to be in with that person's success. Okay, that's just pretty much how they operate. That's how the narcissists operate, essentially. And the very low functioning narcissist, it's nothing but a drifter. It's nothing but, in all means, I mean, just to put it bluntly, they are failures. Okay, and the way they are wired and made doesn't allow them to sustain anything meaningful and productive for lengthy periods of time. They will self-sabotage, they will mess up, and repeat the cycle over and over again. No matter what age they are, this is typically how they are, unless they get into the very old age and they can't get around and stuff, and so forth, which most of them usually end up alone.
In order for the narcissist to change, this phenomenal type of event would have to happen, and that would be the narcissist, the false self of the narcissist would have to become the narcissist's enemy. Okay? They would have to literally turn against the false self in all facets of everything. They would have to drop all of the indoctrinated beliefs and systematic thinking that the false self has imputed within that person's character. Okay? The narcissist is so dependent on the false self that it really would be like dropping a person off in a desert, no compass, no nothing, and telling them find their way back to civilization. If you were to take away the false self from the narcissist, this is so it's such an intricate part of their existence that to leave the false self creates such fear and anxiety within them, because they don't know any other way how to function without that false self, without the lying, without the manipulation, without the trickery, without the deception and all these things, including the bad destructive behavior. You take this away from the narcissist, okay, and you would be dealing with someone who is completely lost. You would really see the childlike person in them. This is why they go back and forth between these. You'll see the characteristic of them being very, what appears to be very responsible and intelligible, but this is part of the programming of the false self in order to solicit the attention and the help and support, the reinforcement of support and help that they need. Okay, that's the survival mode that the false self has them operate in. The real self of the narcissist is kind of like a passenger, a spectator, along for the ride. Okay, they don't really have the skill set, means, or the know-how to consistently produce the very things that are a necessity to their survival without the false self. Okay, so by default, by nature, the false self has to be only concerned with itself, with its own interest, which veers the true self, the individual, further and further away from not only themselves but reality as well. Okay, and the thing about it, guys, when you wonder, well, why can't they change? They're so lost in this wilderness of fictitious fantasies and idealisms and all this stuff in their mind. They're so lost in their mind, okay, because this is where they operate, in the mind. They're so lost there that to find their way back, they would have to let go of the false self. But the problem is the false self is also an important part in their navigation in this thing we call life. It's somewhat of their life support. Okay, this is all they know how to do, is to react, and reacting for the gratification, the stimulation of their emotion, at least, is what the false self regulates. Right? It is not concerned with anyone or anything else. It's only concerned with gratification. And this becomes the drug, the addiction, the psychological neurosis that gets that is the foundation of the narcissist and how they basically operate. Okay? Once you have them on that, they can't just stop being a narcissist. It would take years to wean them off of that system of operating. Okay? And it would be very difficult, because they're also fear-based individuals who are concerned with the symptoms of how things will be or cause them to feel from certain different elements of life. Okay? So once the narcissist even attempts to try to change themselves, most of you will notice it's only temporarily. And it's a short stay at that. It may only last 2 to 3 days, a week maybe. But then they go right back to those narcissistic ways. It is very difficult for them to break those habits, to break that way of being. The false self is basically the narcissist's God. It is the operating system that controls how they think, feel, how they react, who they are. It is everything to them. They lose it, they've basically lost everything. They would have to literally be taught all over again how to be, especially being civilized. The narcissist, in order to change, would have to turn against the false self and see it for what it is, and it's really their enemy. The false self is the narcissist's enemy. It is the very thing that's causing them the misery, pain, anguish that they are experiencing in this thing we call life. But the narcissist can't see it because they've become so dependent on this false self, on this false persona, trying to get people to be people pleasers, to get people to accept them, to get people to like them, to the attention, the admiration, and all of these things is what the narcissist is slaved to from their false self. The narcissist, guys, really is not free. The narcissist is a prisoner of their own minds. They're not free. And thus, by not being free, there's no way they can properly experience life the way it was meant to be experienced by someone who has a healthy mind and a healthy state of being and existing in this thing we call life again. The narcissist is forever trying to serve, trying to please this false identity. The false identity is basically a parasite in their mind that controls them, that basically predestines them for an unhealthy, unproductive, unsatisfying experience in life. The narcissist, to get rid of that, would be in for a hell of a battle. Because the false self is not going to leave easily. The false self is not going to allow them to rest mentally. It's going to torment them. It's going to play tricks on them, breaking them down, submitting them once more again back to their old ways, back to their old habits. So Something to think about when you guys think that they can change. They would literally have to become an all-out enemy, wage all-out war against their false self. But because they're so dependent on this false self, the false self is an ally. The false self is a friend. After all, this is what it was created to do, to protect them in the first place. So at the end of the day, this false self, this false persona, this fake persona, is really all the narcissist has at the end of the day. Because the false self is the one who has captured and the one who has imprisoned the real person. And it's not gonna be easy for them to break free of that. Many narcissists don't think anything's wrong with them. They think they're free when they're really not free.
Okay, this video, I'll let y'all get up in here, but I'll start now. Closure from getting the truth about the narcissist or whatnot, the situation you were dealing with. And greetings to everyone. I want to get into this really quick about how important it is to get truth, and when we do get it, that we have to accept it. Okay, you have to give yourself closure, but a lot of this, when we talk about closure, you've already had enough information from dealing with them to give yourself that closure yourself. So, meaning that you cannot turn and look towards them for the closure. You have to create that closure yourself. And the biggest part about how to do this, guys, is that you have to go back and assess everything that you experienced. Look at the beginning and then look at what the end result was. And I guarantee you can go through all those moments of when you were with this individual to see where you had enough evidence, you had enough negative experience with this person to give yourself your own closure. Okay? You don't need to get it from the narcissist after a certain point of time, or a certain, especially after it's been done. Especially after the whole situation is closed and finished. You have to go back within and assess your own experience with them and say, you know what? I don't need to hear or see anything from them to get my closure. I have my closure already. I have my closure from going through, and what I experienced, what I went through, what I the betrayal, the backstabbing, the lying, all of these things. If you just look at that, that's already enough for you to have closure. That's already enough for you to have closure within itself right there. Just go back and look at all of the bullshit, all of the stuff that you caught them in. Just look at it. Look at how many times they betrayed you. Look how many times they lied to you. Look how many promises they broke with you. And then look in the end of what they did as a result to all of your loyalty, perseverance through dealing with them. Look at what you got in the end. That's closure for you. That should be closure right there. That should be closure within itself right there. You don't need to look for an answer on their side. Don't look on that side of where they are, because that's where the betrayal lies. Trying to see their side, trying to see things their way is what got you betrayed in the first place. All of them are a piece of work. They all are. And the more you try to look at yourself as to say, why didn't this work? Well, it's because we allowed our boundaries to be infiltrated, to be breached. Every last one of you, if you dealt with one, I promise you, you can count on two hands and then some how many times you were betrayed, lied to, manipulated. There's more than enough. There's more than enough. So at this point, there is no need to look back and feel sorry or regret anything about disowning them. There's nothing to look back and regret. Nothing at all. Don't look and look at your decision as something that, you know, in a regretful way. Because I can guarantee you, the next individual, whoever they're dealing with, is getting exactly what you got. This is the process. This is the life of what they are. Somebody said that narcissism was a borderline with the minor in narcissism. Yeah, that's you know, that's just something, guys. I mean, that's just something when you look back on it, and we're educated into knowing that, you know, there's people out here who are, you know, masters of the theater. You know what I mean? There's people who are out here only to interact with people and be with people out of personal gain. That's what's going on. And many of us, when we encounter these individuals, when we come across these individuals, we realize just how you know, different we perceive life is from what it really is and what's actually out there. So, you know, there's not people who want the same things as you want. There's not people who share the same things that you respect and value, you know, just because you give it to them. You give some people respect, they're not going to give you respect back. They're going to take your respect as weakness. They're going to take your respect as the green light to go ahead and try to manipulate you or use you. So we can't do that anymore. We can't do that anymore. Yeah, taking the high road, let me tell you something. Taking the high road with a narcissist or any type of cluster B type of disordered individual will immediately signal to them that you are an easy victim. That's what that does. There is no taking the high road with someone who does not respect the boundaries, rights, or anything of someone else. There's no taking the high road with that. you will be considered weak, and you will be targeted to be manipulated, played, and used. Being considerate. That's another thing. They look at that as a weakness. They look at it as a weakness. But the way you have to do it, they have to, and this is what gets a lot of you, is because initially in the beginning, the narcissist does reciprocate back, only for the purpose of creating the impression that they are someone who does respect and follow along the same lines of believing in, respect is to be earned and given. They'll play the role off initially to lock you in. They'll play it off, but after a while, that slips away. That's gone. So more or less, it is important, guys, to look at the past of these individuals. Look at the track record. Look at the track record in them. And if you look at their rap sheet, I mean, it's for miles and miles of failures, of disappointments, of carnage that they've left behind from dealing with other people. So in the end, guys, in the end, your closure, the truth, is with you. The closure and the truth starts and begins to unfold and uncover itself with you. You know what your experience was. You know what you went through. And you know what the end result was. Don't talk yourself out of the truth. Don't talk yourself out of the reality that you experienced. And reside yourself within that truth. Just wanted to let y'all know that. I mean, a lot of people struggle with this cognitive dissonance after it's over. They start second guessing and wondering, and no, you know what you went through. You know what you experienced. It wasn't a dream. It wasn't a fluke. Okay? So, let's see. Well, normal person plans for a great future. Narc spends every waking moment. Yeah, the narcissist does. They're guys, when they see you, they're looking to take out a lot of their anger, frustrations out on innocent people who are good-hearted. It feels better to get over on somebody who's a good person for them. Getting over on somebody who's already effed up and bad off, that doesn't do it. It doesn't hit them the same way. They like getting over and destroying someone who is a good person. It gives them more fuel. It feels better when they do it that way.
Fidelity loop of the narcissist cheating. And, we're going to look at and explore the science behind this. I know a lot of you, most of you, if you've dealt with a narcissist, I can almost guarantee you that all of them have cheated or betrayed you in some sort of way in regards to that area. The reason being, I want to start out that the narcissist cannot resist the temptation of attention, admiration, and adulation from other people. Okay? They cannot resist that. So that means everyone or anything that strikes their interest in that way will steer them off into that direction. With that being said, let's start out from the point of them already having acquired you and having you being their number one primary source. Okay. At this point, of course, they've managed to, love bomb you, seduce you into being into a relationship with them. And now you are functioning as some sort of appliance or tool to them. Well, they have you. So at this point, the narcissist has basically captured you. That's what I see it as. It's not, I don't look at these as relationships. You've been captured. And now you are groomed to meet the needs and the functionings of this narcissist in whatever capacity they are looking for. Of course, once they've gotten you, all of this changes quite rapidly. The relationship starts to deteriorate. Okay, it's like if you buy milk, right? Milk has a shelf life or a stock life. No matter if you have it in a refrigerator or not, it has a certain amount of time until it becomes perishable, until it's no longer good anymore. Okay, that is how the relationship is with narcissists. No matter if you are doing everything you need to do for them or not, that relationship has a shelf life that is going to expire with them. Okay, that's a guaranteed. It doesn't matter. Either it's going to end quickly or it's going to get drawn out. But in any event, that relationship will come to an end. Most of these relationships with them come to very shocking, brutal, bitter ends. Okay, because of the behavior and the things that these individuals display and the things that they do to their targets. Now, basically, back into the situation of being with the narcissist as an acquired target. The narcissist, after a certain period, when it's close to your expiration date, the narcissist begins to grow bored with you. They begin to lack interest in you. And now the effects that you had on them initially too, because see, it's a two-way, it's sort of an equal exchange. The narcissist is giving you attention, praise, and admiration too, because you're giving that to them. So they like the equal exchange of the energy transferred back and forth. You're making them feel excited and filled, and they're giving that back to you. The only difference is narcissists have the lack of staying power, the lack of consistency to anything, which means their attention strays quite quickly once they have been around a certain thing for a certain period of time. They will lose interest in it. They will start to devalue it. They will start to begin the process of discarding that particular individual or thing. Okay? It starts out strong. It starts out very strong, but it also ends very quickly. And the reason is that once the narcissist has gotten you, and I've mentioned this many times before, you are like a drug. And so you start losing your effectiveness. You start losing your impact on how you make them feel, because relationships go through ups and downs. Everything is not perfect in a relationship, but the narcissist wants whatever they acquire or whatever they have to be somewhat perfect. They have unrealistic expectations of what they get, so they can never really take any type of imperfections that may come about into the relationship that will change the perspective of what they see within that relationship or within that person or thing. Thus, when that particular instance or thing starts to happen, the narcissist, by knowing this, they know that their nature, at least, that they're going to get bored, that something's going to happen and they're going to lose interest. They already know this. Okay, that's why you have a shelf life. Thus, here's the problem with the cheating, the loop of the cheating. The narcissist, while they are with you, at some point decides they have to acquire secondary reinforcements. Okay? These secondary reinforcements are put in place strategically to transition once they begin to lose interest in you. See, this is the thing, guys. They know they have to replace you because you're going to fizzle out in their desire. You're going to fizzle out in your effectiveness or your potency of being able to stimulate them, to keep them interested in you. This is the problem with them, okay? You're going to fizzle out. I don't care who you are. You're going to fizzle out in their interests. So when this happens and when the narcissist starts to feel the ineffectiveness of you being that particular type of drug to stimulate them emotionally inside, they go looking for secondary reinforcements, okay? Other people, other things to bring that same satisfaction that the newness creates of just meeting someone. So this secondary reinforcement, they begin, maybe they're going to the grocery store or a coffee shop or something like that, wherever they're working, they have an eye on an individual. They will begin to aggressively pursue this individual, trying to get their attention, trying to be noticed by them, doing acts of kindness, different gestures of kindness to lure them in, okay? Now, once they're doing this, this doesn't happen overnight, guys. This doesn't happen overnight. So when most of you find out that your partner, your narcissist has cheated on you, or the narcissist has cheated on you, this was a process that had already been in the making for quite some time. Okay? And so at this point, the narcissist begins to groom a secondary reinforcement, or maybe 2 or 3. Okay? Typically, from what I've known, they usually have about 2 or 3 lined up that they're grooming, courting, or seducing, as I say, to be the replacement for you. As this transition happens is because narcissists have to have this contrast of good and bad. They can't have 2 good at the same time. This confuses their whole logical process and way of thinking. Okay? So they have to be able to make one of you negative and one of you positive. So what happens is the person, the primary source that they've been with, they have to begin to see them as negative and ineffective. This will validate the reason for them to have to go out and get another source, because you're ineffective now. You don't have the same functioning and you don't function the way that they would like you to function. So they look at you as weak, powerless, not efficient. So for them, they have to replace that. This appliance is wearing old. It doesn't have the same functioning as I like it to have. I need a new one. So now this new secondary force reinforcement that they're grooming, the seduction and flirtation goes on. Maybe not sexual or physical at this time, but they are lining them up and evaluating them through different tests and stuff like that to see if they will be something or someone that they can replace you with. If not at that present time, they will still keep an interest in that person and keep them around. From this point, while they're engaging with you, you will start to see the distance in them. You will start to see the lack of disrespect, now a lack of respect at least. And now, before, when you were perfect and couldn't do no wrong in their eyes, now they're seeing all these issues with you. Now they may even change the way that stuff that you guys used to laugh and joke about, they don't find it funny anymore. Nothing you do is entertaining to them. They don't want to go out, they don't want to spend time with you. And you can feel the distancing, creating distance at least between you and them. This is because, guys, in most cases, there's a secondary reinforcement that they have ready to come in or ready to jump ship and go to them at this point. Okay, I can guarantee it. This is why I say you're never alone, because the process of what the narcissist is, it makes them have to do this. They have to replace sources of supply. They have to. Now, there's some of you who may be, in long-term relations with them, or transactions, as I call them, with them. And it's like, well, how come it lasted so long with me? And it's because I look at it as you're adding preservatives to the relationship. You keep trying to do things to stimulate the narcissist, and while losing a bit of yourself and losing part of yourself, you keep doing and doing in hopes that this is going to change the individual and stop the inevitable of happening. Because a lot of you yourselves, you know it's coming. You know this is coming. You're just trying as much as you can to stop the inevitable. And it doesn't do you any good, because what happens ends up happening anyway. So the narcissist at this point, when they're ready to replace you, they have this secondary reinforcement source of supply that they bring in. Now you'll see them wanting to break up with you, or they're leaving, or their habits change. They're showing up late. They're coming home late. Sometimes they might not even come home. Sometimes they get so disrespectful and unruly with you till you have to leave. They are creating this dynamic so that you can remove yourself, or that they can have a reason to remove you out of the situation, because now they have no regard for you. They've proven this new source to be worthy of coming into your place and taking over. And once that happens, they are ready to completely discard you. Or if you've left, they're okay with it, because it's like they've already, for the past 6 months or so, been working on a new source of supply to replace you with. Okay? And the fundamental basis of how narcissists operate is through the art of misdirection. Okay, so while they're going through this process with you, they don't want to fully lose their primary source, because if this new source that they're grooming, if they misjudge this source, it could be detrimental where they end up losing both. So they have to still create the impression or the illusion that they are into you, that they are being grounded into you. And this is why you see that duality from them that causes a great amount of confusion in you, is because it seems like they're still into you, but at the same time they're being rude and disrespectful to you, or they're being distant and cold to you, and then they're nice again. This is because they're trying to configure and figure out, am I going to go with this new source all the way, or am I not? So when it's something that the new reinforcement is not doing all the way, they'll come back to you and try to regain that fuel, that source of lifting them, until they discard and see you as ineffective too. Okay? Because at this point they've got all the use out of you. You just can't do anything for them anymore. And so this is that issue, guys, that I talk about, that they cannot help. Narcissists, and I say that, I know it sounds repetitive, but they are addicts. And this addiction, this obsession, and in most cases, they're addicted to either sex, money, praise, power, people. These are the things that they're addicted to. In most instances, porn, they're addicted to these type of things, which will most definitely and inevitably cause issues in monogamous relationships, or in just or interpersonal relationships in general. These will cause issues when you have people who are addicted to these things, because they're going to do whatever it takes to get this addiction fulfilled. And if it's not fulfilling from the primary source, you can guarantee that they will go out to a secondary source and get it. It's a must for them. This is the main issue right here, guys, that I want to give further emphasis on. This is one of the main issues why they cheat, because most of them are addicted to sex or the newness of someone else. So the effects and the everything with you is going to wear off. And most of it's not even if you're lousy at the sex. It's just because they need a new experience from a new person. And they can't help it. They cannot help it. They're driven by that impulse. They cannot help that. So This loop, this constant loop of infidelity and cheating will go on continuously with them. And for you to get back with them and thinking that you're going to be in a monogamous relationship, that you can keep this person from going that direction, you're sadly mistaken. And you're being a fool if you think so. Because this is something that they cannot control. The impulse, the overwhelming impulse, and then the obsession behind it is so strong within them and so deeply embedded into their psychological programming that it's almost impossible for them to overcome. And this is why they give in. This is why they have to replace a source of supply within what we would call a relationship. This is why they have to cut it off at a certain point, because it's ran its course. It's time for something new. It's time for a new body, a new feel, they have to do that. So when a lot of you think, oh, well, how could they move on so quick? Like they weren't even with me. It's because they know, and the way they're wired, what they expect is to move on, because this is how they live. This is how they operate. It's got to go that way. They can never be faithful because they lack the consistency within their programming, within their mental makeup. They lack the ability to be consistent, and they lack the integrity behind it as well. So with that in mind, and with that being said, this constant loop of infidelity and cheating with them is a guaranteed when you deal with them.
This part 2 of the narcissists play themselves. I wanted to tell y'all and talk about the certain parameters that you got to look for with these individuals, okay? And why they seem to always put themselves in the same type of predicaments, all right? Narcissists are reckless, impulsive, and when they get out there, a lot of times they end up trying to overcompensate for a loss, okay, that they don't want to own up to. And so again, like I said in my first one, they'll go off and get married to someone when they hurt and they're wounded and they just suffered a major narcissistic injury. They want to run off and marry someone. They want to run off and do whatever to help, soothe that wound, okay? And in this instance, and when this happens, all right, they're vulnerable, they're open. That's the only time you'll see the narcissist able to be exposed to where they're vulnerable, all right? And at this point, this is where they play themselves. This is where they make the majority of their mistakes, okay? They make the majority of their mistakes at this point, because they're not thinking. They just want to heal that wound. They want to fill that wound up, all right? And then a lot of times they'll go off, they'll run into another narcissist, okay? But as you know, when a person is playing the victim role and they want to portray themselves as a victim, they want to portray themselves as the one that has gotten hurt, or the one that has put themselves, they want to try to self-medicate. And so the new person coming in, offering them advice, help, anything like that, they're completely open to. All right, and they'll go get married, they'll have children, all of this stuff. And when they realize that they've been duped, that they've been fooled, bamboozled, they're hurt all over again. This is when they become angry. This is why the mistakes are so perpetual with these individuals, because they never learn. They're constantly running from themselves. All right. And so, yes, narcissists can play themselves
as I said before in part 1, press play, and you'll watch all of the narcissists, and whatever they're going through, you'll see that play out. You'll see it play out. Do they get their karma? Yes, they get their karma. That's a part of their karma. See, they're trying to run from karma by trying to go get with someone to rescue them from their faults and their mistakes. All right? That's a major part y'all got to look into and understand, that these individuals will put themselves in that position continuously. And then they, instead of going within and looking at the problem and trying to fix it, they're going to run. They're going to run to the next place and to the next person and try to, avoid that karma. That's why they keep running. They're trying to avoid that karma. And in that attempt to avoid the karma, they end up making more mistakes over and over again. This is a perpetual cycle. This is a perpetual cycle that they cannot avoid, that they constantly find themselves caught up in. Narcissists repeat the same thing over and over. This is why they appear to be insane, because they keep doing the same thing over and over again with the expectation of having a different result, but the results never change. All they bring to themselves is more problems and more complex situations that they find harder and harder to get out of. So in the end, the narcissist is left even more devastated in most cases than what they were from when they left you. You see what I'm saying? You can't run from yourself. And this is what happens. So, mindful, guys. Narcissists, what we call it, shooting themselves in the foot. We like to say that they shoot themselves in the foot, but really, they're trying to escape the carnage that they left behind from and with other people. They do all this stuff to people and they think that they can just move on and it's going to be okay, that they're just going to pick up and build another life somewhere else. But just because they don't want to accept their track record doesn't mean, that there's a higher power that's not taking note of everything that they do, of everything that they've done. And it's going to catch up with them. They can't outrun that. And this is why you see the narcissists being in more devastating situations than what they were in before. Like I said, some of them, they end up getting pregnant. Situation doesn't work out. Now they find out it's harder and harder. Now they find out, damn, I was a lot better off before this. But because I was trying to play the victim role and I ran into someone who temporarily satisfied what I needed at that point of feeling comforted, and they thought that it was going to work out, and they ended up getting played in the process, they're back to square one again, playing the victim role, trying to have someone help them out, but in a deeper situation that is more detrimental than what they started out with. Okay, so guys, be mindful of that. Narcissists do. I mean, they're in a paradigm. They're in a trap paradigm where they're going to keep repeating the same cycle of disappointments and failures all over again. All right, it doesn't end. Everything that the narcissist does is based on some sort of tactic. The most effective way of getting new supply is to play victim. I mean, it's most effective. It's probably the quickest way, and also the most confusing way that they use to to solicit new supply. And I say, like, how do they do this? Like, how does narcissists actually manage to pull this off, right? And in many ways, most of you you kind of fall for that, wanting to, help them, wanting to, be the person that changes all of their mishaps and stuff like that, right? So you step in and you try to be the good person that you are, which this is to kind of, it's used to make sure that they're protecting themselves, essentially. Because if they come off as the victim, and if you show that, it's a quick way to it's a quick read too. It's a cold, quick read. They get to cold read you really quick by being able to see how you respond to them being a victim. And if you're like, if you show empathy or you show sympathy towards their fake victim role, towards their fake victimization from someone who's did them wrong, well, then they know just how to, it's kind of sizing you up. They know how to go proceed forth and manipulating you and actually, baiting you in, right? They know what type of character to dial up to be able to seduce you so that they can, eventually lock you in, right? So once they kind of see, how you respond, to them, if you show sympathy, if you show empathy, if you look like you want to help, if you give them that attention in that way, they're computing and they're dialing up a character that will be used to bait you. See the false self of the narcissist in this mode. The false character is really the bait. That's what you get in the beginning. You're getting that bait. They're baiting you in. You're getting bait from them, right? That's all that false character is, right? And the bait is what you go for. That's what you get hooked on. That's what hooks you, right? You think you're meeting this wonderful person, but you're actually just taking the bait. The bait is what they reel you in with. Well, they're reeling you in with this fake character. That's what the false character is. That's what the false self is. It's bait. The real person that they are is nothing like the false character. The real person that they are is cold-hearted, devious, mischievous, evil in nature. So this is what they're hiding from you. But no narcissist will be able to get another target or a victim with that, with the true self that they are, that underlining hateful, evil person. They're not going to be able to pull any targets or any victims with that particular character. So they have to give you the bait. And the quickest way, the easiest way to do that is to, the sympathy role, the victim. They're going to play victim so that you feel sorry for them, right? So this is basically allowing you to let your guard down. This is where you start letting your guard down, because now you feel you have someone who is hopeless, who's helpless, who's not going to hurt anyone because they're already wounded, but they're not wounded. They're quite capable, right? And in many ways dangerous. But you don't know that. And you're interacting with them as though they are absolutely harmless. And you're none the wiser, but in all reality, this is what creates the confusion. Because once you feel like you're trying to help someone who's been hurt by other people and done in so bad by other people, when you begin to see the mask slip off, when you begin to see the real character of what this person is, they reinforce it by saying, well, this is what I'm this way because this is what was done to me, my upbringing, and some of this could be true, but a lot of the ways that the narcissists, they enjoy hurting people. They enjoy antagonizing people. causing mischief. They enjoy these things, right? But they will use the excuse of what happened to them to back you off, to get you to cooperate with their bad, disruptive behavior and to buy them more time. So they give you the false promise, the future faking of themselves getting better. If you only just work with me so much longer, I'm getting better. If you work with me a little bit more, I'm trying my hardest, right? And not trying their hardest, they're sitting back laughing at you because it's a game. You know, it's a game. And what happens is, through this game, and you start to feel like, well, maybe you can be the one to undo all of this and all of this stuff that got them to that point in the first place. And you've already invested the time. You start thinking you can be the one to help unravel this and you know, heal them. You're not gonna heal them, right? The victim role is a complete setup. It's a trap. It's a trap, and they use it very effectively. They use it very effectively, and most will begin to feel as though, you know, that you know, maybe something did happen in their childhood or whatnot. I'll tell you this though, in most cases, whatever the narcissist is telling you happened in their last relationship, what the last person did them, how the last person did them so bad and wronged them, that's what they were doing to the other person. See, they just reverse it. Whatever they did to someone is what they tell you was done to them. But they're the real perpetrators. They're the ones behind all this mischief and mayhem. But if they paint the picture, you know, if they paint that picture in the minds of a person to be able to think for a second that this is the way that this narrative went from them. The narrative goes that they were victimized. Right? If you don't have any proof of it, you go along with the story. You buy into it, which works well for them. Right? You don't have proof of them being victimized. And so you got to kind of go off of what they're telling you. And by going off what they're telling you, you got your guards completely down. And they begin to you know, groom you from that point. You start getting groomed from that point on. The narcissist has complete advantage. They have the positional advantage over your mind psychologically at that point, because you're in a state of confusion. And when you do think back on, okay, why are they being this way, you're going to automatically think on, oh, maybe it was because of their upbringing and how they were done. But in many cases, no, it's because they want to do what they're doing, because they enjoy doing what they're doing. That's why. All right? And it gives them an advantage. Narcissists love having an advantage. It gives them the advantage because you won't be critical, or so, or even more so, you won't be suspecting of what they're doing. You know. And yeah, you'll begin to maybe even blame yourself for some of the things for some of the triggers, the false triggers that they're creating, fake triggers at least, that they're creating with their episodes. You may even blame yourself for it, or they'll try to put the blame on you. It has nothing to do with you. All of this is controlled. They know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing. And if you find yourself entertaining that that position, that state of feeling as though you're going to be able to help this individual, and they keep doing the same thing over and over. Someone who's really trying to help themselves, they start to negate the things that are causing issues, that are causing problems. That doesn't happen with a narcissist. The issues still continue, the problems still continue. They're not getting rid of anything. They have to have the chaos in order to control you. So it's not going anywhere. So, the victim role, very common with these type of individuals because there's no accountability. To have accountability is part of the resolution to the disorder. So they can't afford to be accountable with the disorder that they have. So in many ways, once you figured it out, once you understand that they're not the victim and they're actually the perpetrator, that's the first part of understanding that you've been duped, you've been gamed. But many of you have bought into the fact that something that can be reversed within them kind of is the main cause behind all of this stuff. Well, the main thing you have to understand is there is no treatment, there is no reversal of this. It is going to be what it is. That's just bottom line. It's going to be what it is. And so, yeah, a lot of them will throw that victim role out on you and have you buying right into it. And they're testing you. They're seeing your emotions, how you react, what self-initiating methods do you use to help correct whatever they're creating as a problem from this victimized past that they're claiming to have. Sarah May, hold on, it went out. She was saying something about some people think all people are narcissists. No, everyone's not a narcissist. Everyone is not. And I'm gonna do a video on the difference between a player and a narcissist in another video. But everybody's not a narcissist. All right, you can have a boss that can be a complete asshole, but he's fair. He doesn't try to get over on anyone. He's just real strict. He's an asshole, but he's fair. People will say he's a narcissist just by how he operates in business, but there are many other traits that are defining of what a narcissist is from what one isn't. And just because someone has, a certain disposition that may come off in that way does not, necessarily make them a narcissist. There's a lot of other factors that would have to go into that. A lot of elements to be described or illustrated. So we can't just go around saying that everyone's a narcissist. That within itself can be questionable as a mild psychosis itself. So yeah, most of it is, like I always say, people, we're humans. We're gonna get into fights. All of these things, we have to understand what is fair. Are we dealing with each other fairly? Are we fighting fairly? Because that's what it boils down to. Anytime you have someone, and narcissists that's the main thing. They're about always taking or having an advantage. they can't operate without an advantage anyway. You know, they can't. There's no way to operate, you know, them operating without having a position of advantage. No, you know, and so you guys gotta understand that, and I think I'm pretty sure most of you who've been following me, you'll be quite capable of dealing with a narcissist and discovering and knowing who a narcissist is and who isn't. You're keeping yourself, I like to say chiseled, you're keeping yourself sharp with knowledge. You know, you're aware, you're keeping yourself sharp. That means you're going to be able to recognize it versus someone who has absolutely no clue. That's usually who it ends up blindsiding. That's usually who it ends up getting. People who, you know, most of us, we were first time, you know, targets, you know, before the knowledge and the information became widespread. We didn't know what we were dealing with. We just thought maybe that's kind of how people are. Or maybe that's, you know, we mislabeled it. We said bipolar or something like that. But, you know, now that we can, you know, pinpoint, you know, what we're dealing with, we know how to more accurately assess any type of situation that may even appear or resemble, you know, that particular identity of dealing with the narcissist. Soliciting attention or sympathy, in other words, through their destructive acts. Okay, a lot of you may have encountered, one second, allergies, man. Our allergies out here in Texas, man. I'm out here in Houston. I'm getting ready for the show tonight, and it's gonna be good, y'all. It's gonna be a good show as usual. I wanted to touch on something that I thought was pretty frequent, pretty common amongst narcissistic individuals, and that is the intentional destruction of themselves in order to solicit sympathy from people, right? This usually happens when the narcissist doesn't, when their false identity, when their false self has a malfunction, right? When the false self has a malfunction, the narcissist has to, they'll go through many different measures to try to regain the acknowledgement of the false character. But in any event, if it should happen to fail, the narcissist will resort to destructive means to gain people's attention. Right? And what is this? This is actually a cry for help. You know, the narcissist is basically bleeding emotionally on the inside, right? They're bleeding on the inside. And because no one is trying to help them medicate, right? Because in a lot of ways, we are out of touch with even trying to help someone who does not reason or rationalize in the same logical state or state of being as normal people do. So this is why you can never rectify or make anything right for the narcissistic individual, because the narcissists themselves are always in a state of confusion. They're always confused. And when worse comes to worse, the quickest way to solicit attention or sympathy, where people come to the rescue or to act upon helping them, is to damage themselves or put themselves in a situation where they're going to be hurt or where they're going to need something or need someone, right? And it's pretty extreme, right? I won't say to the point of necessarily suicide. I won't go that far to say they'll go to suicide, but they may tell you that they're thinking of it, or they may entertain suicidal thoughts, but not necessarily there. They'll go do stuff to the extreme and kind of make it known for you to be aware of what they just did to themselves, right? They'll go and, you know, they'll choose a certain type of lifestyle that's very reckless, but allow you to know about it so that you could be like, oh my gosh, look what they're going through since I'm not with them, since I'm not helping them, right? So in a way, it's kind of like a transferring of the energy and of the emotion and of the blame, the guilt kind of goes towards the individual who has to sit back and watch them destroying their lives, right? You have to watch them destroy their lives. Where it's kind of like, see, if you would have stuck in and did what I would have told you to do, if you would have been the type of source that I needed you to be, this wouldn't be happening. So it's a kind of way of through proxy, transferring the guilt onto you. Like making it to where you were the facilitator of them destroying themselves, right? This serves two purposes. For one, it gets the individual to engage with the narcissist, to feel helpless, especially to be emotionally ridden with guilt, right? So the guilt is supposed to overwhelm you because they're doing something to themselves now in which they put you in a position where you can't help them, right? This is another way where they can get back at you and try to hurt you or make you feel bad about something which you have no control over, all right? The second thing is to get you to actually jump in and come rescue them, right? This is to kind of validate their self-worth, their importance, okay? Because while they're putting themselves through the situation, through such traumatic events or events that's which gonna set them back and take away from them, you try to go to the rescue and alleviate their misery, you know, assist them. The only problem though is this is all part of creating the psychological damage to the person, because once you do rescue them, the narcissist is going to put you in a position by appearing as though they are permanently wounded by this. They're scarred, or they put themselves in situations where they're definitely going to be changed. They're not going to be the same anymore. And for you to you have to witness this. You have to witness such a dramatic change in them, or something that they've done with their lives that's so dramatic. You have to live with that and witness this through them now. So it kind of is a form of punishment for not trying or not adhering to what their needs were in the first place, right? These individuals really practice emotional, it's kind of like emotional misdirection, to where they have you going all over the place emotionally, and yet still there's no answer, right? There's no answer to help them. But they want you to feel responsible for the deplorable conditions that they put themselves in. And that's part of the game. That's why they do it. And they do this quite frequently. They'll do something to mess their lives up and then have people sit back and be like, oh my gosh, what happened? How did they go that way? I mean, extremes, guys. They'll get on drugs. They may have never even touched drugs, but then they go and get on drugs. They'll do things so that it can create a shock effect on the victim that has to sit back and watch the narcissist take apart their lives. So they're still getting that to be able to hurt you deeply emotionally. That's what the purpose of it is. So that they can hurt you emotionally by damaging themselves, especially if they know you care for them. They really try to use this tactic with people who they know deeply care for them, because they know if they hurt themselves and you deeply care for them, it's going to hurt you. This is how sick and twisted the mind of the narcissist is. I just wanted to touch up on that really quick, guys. Out here in Houston tonight, uh, moving on there from to Atlanta. So if you're in the Atlanta area, you might want to get your tickets soon. The tickets, Houston is sold out as well, and they're selling pretty quick, guys. So again, I'll put the link below in the description box in this video. If you're in the Houston area, it's Houston. It's going to be in West Houston near Katy. So, but yes, I'll put the link in the description box. We'll be in Atlanta next. From Atlanta to DC, we'll see y'all. Be coming up on y'all soon. Philly too. So y'all make sure y'all get y'all tickets in. So I just wanted to run that by y'all. Make sure that y'all kind of get an understanding of how that when you see these individuals doing things to themselves, that is basically what you're witnessing, and that is what the effect of it is supposed to cause: deep emotional distress within you to have to sit back and witness and watch someone that you care about dismantling themselves and their lives.
When the primary source is away, the narcissist will play. Okay, they're gonna do some playing if especially if you're not around, and that could be short term, long term type of period of being away from them. Hell, it could be you going to work and being away from them for at least 8 hours out the day. Whenever you are away and out of their presence, they are playing. Okay, they are entertaining, engaging with other prospects of supply. Okay, or they're doing things that would violate the agreement or the union that what you guys have together, which you would consider quote unquote a relationship, which we don't call that in this community. We call it transactions. But that's what's going on, and you can be assured that the narcissist is basically, and I said this before, that when you're not around them, there's definitely a duality and two faces. When you're not around them, there's a totally different way that they're acting and presenting themselves without your presence. Okay, when you're around them, they snap back into the idolize the idolize the idolization role that they're playing for you to behold as acceptable, right? The person that many of you fall in love with and come to entrust a lot of your information and stuff like that and your life with, right? So you have to realize that person doesn't exist. Completely fake, phony. There's no realness to them, but they have to play the role as long as you are around and in their presence. When you're not, they're, fooling around, sneaking around with other sources, engaging and entertaining different sources that they can possibly get to. Now, this happens because the primary source is basically the caretaker. They're the master caretaker of this individual who is the narcissist. Or if they're not in that position and the narcissist has and is able to provide for themselves, the primary is the main one, which you would call the main significant person that they are interacting with. And that individual is taken for granted, first and foremost, a lot quicker than the secondary sources. The primary source is abused more. The primary source is, you know, in other words, the immediate extension of the narcissist. And in this role and in this position with them, you'll come to find that you're the individual that they use to, you can say, to regulate their emotions, to regulate when they're feeling bad, when they had a bad time, when they had a bad day. You're going to be the emotional punching bag for them, or the person that they take all of this stuff out. Even if they're having going or getting into it with other sources, secondary sources of supply, they're going to always take it out on the primary. That becomes your functioning. You're the emotional dump that they use you for, and or the financial uh, uh, piggy bank that they go to. Either way, you're being used the most as a primary source. You're being abused the most as a primary source. And when you are not around them, they are playing. They are engaging in activities and other things that would violate and compromise whatever you guys have going with them. So many people feel as though, well, I don't think that they've done anything, and they may not physically cheat with some of these secondary sources, but their activities are unethical with them, put it that way. And if you're not aware of that, if you know, especially a lot of people who choose to go back to them, if you're in that position as a primary, that is the worst. This is where the fun stops. See, most of the time through the love bombing stage, you haven't been groomed to the point of being positioned as the primary source yet. So it's fun. And that's how they are with all other sources of supply. They're fun, they're outgoing, they're easy to get along with, all of this stuff, because you don't really know them, right? You don't, they may need you to stick around a lot longer at a certain point of time. So at this point, when you're at that stage of being groomed and being tested to see how suitable of a source that you may become for them long term, they can't run you away. They can't scare you away at this point, right? So this is why it's they stay captivating and intriguing to you, and they're on their best behavior during the love bombing stage. But once you become the primary, you become the caretaker essentially to them, or the emotional punching bag, whatever they need to, to use to, get their rocks off, basically. Some are sadistic and, masochists. They like to hurt their primary sources, and that's how they relieve their inner feelings of inadequacy and so forth. Um, but to mainly put it to you, whenever you're out of their presence, they have to keep, now think about this, because they have other sources always at the ready that they're dealing with, they have to keep them entertained, right? They have to keep them in the loop so that the sources that are possible potentials don't stray away. So naturally, they have to always engage with these individuals at some point in time on a regular basis. So the narcissist, in more ways, hides the relationship, or if they're not hiding the relationship, or the transactional partner, they are downgrading and devaluing them to the other sources as no significance, right? They'll say something like, well, you're just roommates, or you're still together, but it's complicated. It's not really like that. They're working on leaving and all of this, so that they paint the picture as you have no significance to them, which is true. Okay, this is all true, but to you, unbeknownst to you, to where you're not knowing this, what's going on behind your back when they're painting this picture to these other sources that they're looking to maybe not yet replace you with, but what they're doing is keeping these other sources at arm's reach. So at any time something goes wrong or they are ready to discard you, they can easily pull the next one up, like another pitcher from the bullpen or something like that. And if you watch baseball, but they can easily pull the next source up at the ready to replace you or to move on forward because they've already been working this individual while you were constantly away. At any moment that you're away, the narcissist isn't doing something constructive. They're out gaining and entertaining other sources all the time. They're not doing nothing positive. They're out there, making sure that their sources that they have lined up is still um, appeased by them so that they stick around. And so that's why I always say when the primary source is away, the narcissist will play, and that is always. Make no mistake about it. They're always doing something when you're not around. They're always doing something behind your back.
Why narcissists start to, tap dancing and all that stuff, um, when they're convicted, when you coming at them with that heat, when you coming at them with that heat, why they get to tap dancing and, you know, acting foolish. We're gonna we're gonna go ahead and get on this one. Many of you may have encountered, when you discover something and you begin to address them with rational logic and information that you have, you'll find that the narcissist will immediately, um, number one, they're going to deflect, and they're going to use the gaslighting, right? And this is coming on because number one, the narcissist does not want to be in an inferior position. So when you start to digging off in that ass and you got your facts lined up and you coming back and they catch it. They catch that. And like, oh, sure, they know what they talking about. They hitting. I mean, like in a fight. You ever seen a fight where a person trying to get out the ass whipping and they doing all of this and they trying to regain their bearings because they getting swung on. They getting so many combinations put on them, they don't know what to do. Same thing with a narcissist. The narcissist starts getting hit with so many combinations of facts that they got to start dancing. And what they do to keep you or to discourage you from coming or bringing the facts is they start to overtalk you, not let you get one word in, right? You'll listen, right? You'll listen to their side. And then what'll happen is after you've listened to them, they basically won't let you get a word in. They won't let you get one word in. They'll start acting childish. They'll start acting belligerent. They'll go into, they'll act, foolish, basically. So to discourage you from even wanting to make a point. But this serves them because they can say they never agree. They never heard anything. You weren't saying anything. That's why I wasn't listening, right? And so now it appears as though the message wasn't received. And that's the way they want it to appear, that they never got the message because they never took the time to listen. And that works effectively. That works effectively because the narcissist can then always come back from that position of, you didn't make any point to me. I didn't agree with you. And that is where they wanted to lie. They wanted to stand right there. I never agreed with you. I never got where you were coming from. And people say the word salad. The word salad is when they're speaking and trying to alter your facts. But I'm talking about when they are just denying to listen, acting out because it's too much heat. It's too much heat. And so once you've cornered them in that way, they got to do a whole lot of scrambling. And we ain't talking about no quarterback scrambling either. They doing a whole lot of, it's almost similar though, but they're doing a whole lot of scrambling, trying, to cause as much commotion as possible so that you are discouraged. Why do they do this all the time? Because every time you do approach them with something, and the truth and is heavy upon them, they want to start controlling the interaction to where your motivation and your how can I put it? I got a brain lag right there. Anyway, your ability to want to go and get to them at least and address that situation. They don't want you. They want to discourage you every time. So once you're discouraged, it's like, why even bother? You know I'm right, whatever, and you blow it off. Wrong approach. Wrong. That's the wrong way to handle that. Because what you're doing is conditioning yourself, right, to wallow and entertain the madness, this craziness. You're conditioning yourself to say, okay, even though they didn't respond and they're acting all foolish, they really know where I'm coming from. They get it. And that is the wrong thing to think. Because to them, you've lost. You're inferior. You didn't get your way. I'm still getting my way. I'm still on top, but you're still here. That's what that comes down to. So in the narcissist's mind, it gives them the confidence that they can subdue your will, even when you're right. And again, folks, we're talking about today about, when you approach the narcissist with such conviction, why they begin to deflect. All right. So in many ways, you start to condition yourself and the interactions. You're being conditioned, right, by going along with the foolishness, with this lunacy. Someone starts acting like a damn idiot, like a child, when it's time for, seriousness and you're having a serious adult conversation. This type of behavior is unacceptable. Totally unacceptable. And the whole thing is, when you allow yourself to stay in that, you are surrendering your position. You are beginning the process of altering your reality. Because guess what? There's more to come. It's like, if you bought that from me and you took that, I'm going to take it to the next level. Now I'm denying everything. Now I'm going to start telling you what it is. Now I'm going to have you believe what I want you to believe. And that's the whole thing, where when you play these games and allow these games to be played with you from these type of individuals, you are basically surrendering to the foolishness. You're surrendering. And that's the whole thing. The moment you see you're coming at somebody intelligible, sensible, reasonable, and they begin this damn foolishness, acting like a child, not letting you get one word in, not wanting to hear it, don't even say nothing no more. This should be your cue to cut that ass off, period. Because there's going to be a lot more of that to come if they were brave enough to even display that to you in the first place. All right? David Compton said the thing is we don't believe it. We just accept the craziness. You know what? A lot of times, yeah, that's true. We accept it and be like, you know what? That's all right. I can handle that. You're making a big mistake once you think that you can handle more of that to come, because there's a lot more you have never even seen yet. That's going to really mess your mind up. For everybody, that it'll mess your mind up. The longer you stay in those situations dealing with those type of crazy tactics, it will really mess you up, especially when it's over. Because you've survived in this condition for so long that now you've somewhat normalized and made yourself immune to operating like that. So what does that say when it's time to move on? Now there's the PTSD, the post-traumatic stress, because you're now, when the reality hits you, it's like, damn, I just went through all this. I was just dealing with that. Man, what if everybody's like, that's what what if everybody's like that comes in after it's all said and done? That's why I say the moment you see it, cut it. Because look, no sensible adult reacts in that way or would start acting that way if you've cornered them and you have a question or you have something and it's logical, it's rational, and you have enough evidence on them to ask the question, it's warranted. Why would they begin to act belligerent and out of control? That's not how a normal adult individual acts. But see, that's the power of the love bombing. Because the love bombing is the down payment on your it's the down payment on your cooperation for the bullshit that's going to come later. The love bombing locks you in on all that good time, all that, you know, the good sex and the you know, the fake kindness, the fake being courteous, and you know, the fake catering to, that locks you in. It conditions you to put up with more of the BS that's definitely coming later. And so, because you feel you are in love with this person who is fake, you see these signs and you say, well, I'll work it out. I'm already here. I'm already in this. Let me just work it out. Let me, you know, we'll get through this. Wrong. Wrong. Not gonna happen. There is no getting through that. And so once you've encountered that, once you see these type of Behaviors. Behavior tells everything, folks. The behavior tells everything about an individual, where they are at a maturity level, at a responsibility level, at an accountability level. All these things, it tells on them based on how they're behaving in a certain given situation. So we have to be mindful of that. Um, it's important not to allow yourself to slip even deeper into the illusion by your participation. Your participation is absolutely a necessity to the narcissist. When you stop participating, when you cut it off from the get-go because you know this isn't right. You're not acting like someone who is mentally sane, who is mentally healthy. When we say that first, regardless of how much we like something or someone, and we get up out of there, we'll save ourselves a lot of hurt, headache, and pain in the end. Why narcissists, why they do that silent treatment thing, you know? A lot of people been asking and wondering about that. So thought I'd go ahead and get into it. Make sure you hit the like button, man. Everybody coming in, hit that like button, hit that thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, if you're not, well, when you hit the subscribe to get the instant notifications, you got to hit that little bell. So yeah, yeah, happy New Year, everybody. It's almost that time, man. It's almost that time. You know, going into the new year, it's time to start, you know, stepping, putting your criterias up, you know. Yeah, man, it's early. I got a little something doing tonight, you know. I hope y'all getting into something tonight. But I want to speak on the silent treatment. Somebody asked me, about the silent treatment, why the narcissists use silent treatment. And the silent treatment, for the most part, it's a passive aggressive type of punishment. Put it that way. Nothing more, nothing less. But silent treatment is intended to make you have to do the guessing and the wondering as to why they're behaving or acting that way. So it's kind of like to make you do all the work to correct the problem, even though you may not even be correcting or fixing the problem. That's what it's intended to do. You know what I'm saying? So you'll go into trying to make it right, trying to get them to talk to you or to communicate with you, and it's a game on their part, because with narcissists, the punishment never fits the crime. You gotta understand that the punishment never fits the crime. So it could got locked out. My bad, y'all. I don't know what's going on with it, but it could be something petty, right? And the narcissist will, exaggerate the situation, blow it all out of proportion, get you to, feel bad about it. An apology isn't good enough for them. They kind of want to make you suffer. They want to make you go through some things. So in order to really carry out their punishment of you, they'll follow up with the silent treatment. They'll follow up with that silent treatment to where you know, you don't know what is going on with them. You don't know why they're not talking to you. Uh, you know, a lot of times too, when you get into playing that game, they it's all of this is used to kind of gauge just how much you willing to tolerate. It's if you get into playing that silent treatment and you start trying to go and what's wrong, you know what I'm saying, and trying to do something to offset that. You want me to get you something from the store, all that whole bull crap, right? um they know they got you. You know what I'm saying? They know they got you because now you playing right into, trying to fix something that really is petty anyway. It don't really mean anything, but by your trying to accommodate them and get them to speak and be normal with you. And sometimes it's not always just silent treatment. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes sometimes it's them acting and behaving a certain way, them being distant, them being short. They may not be silent giving you the complete silent treatment, but they're being short with you. They're acting like they don't care. They're being indifferent with you. All of these things to show that there's a disconnect. Another reason why this is important for them, and it can be used as a tactic, which is powerful, is to cause anxiety in the other person. They want to put it in your mind or put it on your mind that there's something so bad that you've done that it could possibly be causing an ending or a certain type of retaliation from them, right? So they'll use that to kind of insinuate that maybe I'm going to retaliate against you because you did that, right? So now they start acting and behaving in a certain way that's more or less, it's like disconnected. You know what I'm saying? They're not connecting with you. They're being short. They're not trying to talk to you. And now the other person, it causes that anxiety, like what's going on? Why are they being this way? I've already apologized. I've already made this right. They're still going on and on and on with it. Well, that's the purpose of it. That's the whole purpose of that particular tactic, which is used to get you to get out of your element, to become uncomfortable, right? To be to that saying, walking on eggshells, because now you don't know what's coming next. But it's all done to fluster you, to cause some sort of disruption of how you naturally function, right? Because if they have you in that way, what is that saying for them? That means they have the power, they have the control over you, right? And as long as they're able to do that and dictate how you are feeling, because they're playing with your emotions. And Friday, when what's his name said, playing with my money is like playing with my emotions, Smokey. You playing with somebody's emotions. People don't like that. But the narcissist is good at playing with, what was it? Big Perm. Big Perm. That's who it was. Big Perm. You know what I'm saying? When you get to playing with people's emotions and stuff, man, it's, you causing unrest in a person. Oh, Big Worm. Big Worm. I said Big Perm. Big Worm. But you cause an unrest in a person. And when a person can't properly be at rest, you know what I'm saying, and they're constantly wondering, what is this person going to do? Because the narcissist a lot of times will insinuate that they're going to do something in retaliation for something you've done. You know what I'm saying? And that's the whole thing, where they constantly keep this other element in the back of your mind that I could possibly go ahead and do this, but I might not. They may insinuate that they're going to go step out on you, right? They may insinuate that, anything, that they're going to leave you or something like that. But it's to get that to playing in your head. So now something that was very small and petty they can control your actions in the future, because now you get so much anxiety built up, and then they go ahead and then they start talking or communicating with you, and they don't go ahead and follow through with the threat that they were making. Now it's like a big relief has happened. Now this is how they manage you, how you think and how you operate, because now you don't want this to happen again. So now you start to adjust and adapt yourself to this type of treatment, at least, and to this type of functionality of dealing with them. So it's like you become self-checked, and this is how you start to lose yourself and start doing, almost automatically what they expect you to do, right? Because they have to take small situations or things that's meaningless and make it bigger and create the anxiety and create the punishment behind it, which may or may not happen. But they have to put it on your mind so that you're thinking about it, and that you at least, you're wondering what's coming next, what they about to do. Why are they quiet? Why they ain't talk to me in 2 days? Or because the worst thing you can have is your own mind starting to play and run down the scenarios on its own in your mind, because you start to get to thinking and coming up with all kind of stuff, and that's how they want you to be. They want you to be thinking and wondering what's next, what's happening. So you're a nervous wreck, and you can't even function. And a lot of times they ain't even doing nothing. This is just to see. They just observing you the whole time, watching your temperament, how you doing day to day. You know what I'm saying? And then slowly they come back into, communicating. They might do something sweet. You know what I'm saying? They might get you that little, they might get you that little, that cheese Danish from Starbucks on the way home. You know what I'm saying? I just thought you wanted something like that. I picked you up something too. And now that little gesture makes it feel like, that, so, okay, you coming back. Everything's about to be, okay. But then later that evening, they do something to show it's still not cool. That's all a game. Anybody playing that game, man, grown people don't play them games. People who serious and who truly love you and being honest, they don't play them type of games. That's one of the biggest signs that you can look for when you're dealing with a narcissist. The mind games. The games never stop. Soon as you see the games, any type of game you see from a person, the on and off, 1 second they on, next second they off, don't even play with it. Just leave. Don't even look for an answer. Don't accept the explanation. Just leave. You know what I'm saying? Just back up out of it. Because if there's one game being played out, there'll be many more to follow. There'll be many more games following up with those games. And next thing you know, you're in the fun house. The moment you start entertaining any game that a person is playing, they will line up a whole bunch of them right behind that. You know what I'm saying? So that's just something I had to put out there. I ain't gonna take too long if somebody just asks about it. Shout out to everybody, all my supporters, everybody that's on here right now. Shout out to all of y'all. Where we checking in from? I know we usually have somebody from Cali on. Chicago checking in, Philly, Nashville, New York, Detroit, Atlanta, Kansas City, Missouri. All right, Australia checking in, man. Jersey, Knoxville, London, Connecticut, Nebraska, Warren, Michigan, Maryland, South Carolina, Milwaukee in the building, man. Shout out to Milwaukee. DC in the building, Connecticut, Syracuse, Holland, Brooklyn, Southside Inglewood. That must be the Chi out there. Westchester, New York, Columbus, Ohio, New York, Mississippi, so in the SIP. We got Omaha, got Albany, Houston, H-Town, Georgia, Clarksville, Tennessee, Indianapolis, Pittsburgh, Chicago, again, Cali, Indianapolis. Man, we all in the building. Germany in the building too. We global. You know, South Carolina, we got South Cat, got the Bronx, Connecticut, Colorado, got Nova Scotia in the building. Got Toledo, Boston, Sheffield, UK, London, Iowa, Rhode Island in the building, man. Rhode Island all the way out there. Norcac, I probably got the Bay Area, Mexicali, got Vegas, got Ireland, Tokyo, San Fran, Hartford, the NO, got New Orleans in the building, man. How about them Saints? You see them Saints? We going to the Super Bowl. Y'all know it's happening, man. You know, Narc Free Island, man. What's the zip on there? No, don't tell a zip on the Narc Free Island. We don't want to get a zip out on the Narc Free Island. We don't want to. Don't get a zip out. Don't get a zip. You know, we got everybody in the building, man. I'm hoping y'all planning and ready for y'all new year, man. Hit the ground running. You know, first and foremost to everybody, hope y'all health is good. Hope y'all stay healthy. Take care of your health. I wish everybody good health first and foremost above anything, because you can't be anything right and you can't fully focus and be worry free unless you have good health. So I wish everybody good health first and foremost. You know, healthy state of mind, healthy body, healthy conscience, and you know, may all y'all endeavors that you're seeking to get come to you, come true. You know, and anybody who hasn't followed, make sure you follow. Make sure you hit the like button, hit the bell once you hit the subscribe button too. That'll give you when I go live, and then yeah, that'll give you the option to be able to get the live updates. So, you know, y'all take care of yourselves. See most of y'all next year. You know, keep doing what you're doing. Stay strong. Stay positive. All y'all that's here, y'all done came a long way. Keep pushing. It gets better every day. It get better every day. So, you know, keep it up. Keep up the good work. You know, shout out to everybody. If you're y'all sleeping on the Anti-Narcissism Awareness Training Academy ebook, man. That's very good, man. And the documentary I got out. Two good sources. Documentary gives a detailed, you know, with a lot of reenactments, you know, with the actors who really portray a lot of the stuff that we talking about and that we discuss, with the gaslighting and, you know, the love bombing. We got all of that in the documentary. I'll leave a preview at the end of this video where you can go get a preview of it and see, like a little trailer. So do have a trailer, but you know, but shout out to everybody, man. I hope everybody is you know, find that inner peace and happiness within themselves. All right. Love yourselves. Take care. Be safe out there, y'all. You know what I'm saying? If you're gonna drink tonight, if you're drinking, make sure you drive responsibly, or call an Uber, or have a designated driver. I want to make sure all of y'all is, you know, safe. Have a good one, man. You don't want to be out there, you know, it ain't worth it. You know, it ain't worth a DUI. It ain't worth your life. So make sure you're being responsible. You know, call an Uber, call a Lyft, arrange for somebody to get you something, but make sure you're safe and make sure you're taking care of yourselves. All right, y'all have a good one.